Is that better?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome everybody out tonight. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. That's a good thing. Always good. We like to see the courtroom full. Thank you for coming. This is the Yancey County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting for October the 13th of 2025. I do want to call this meeting to order. And I'll be doing the invocation. I've asked Commissioner Green to lead us in our pledge to the flag. So this time, let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the day. Thank you for your grace, your mercy, your blessings, your help upon us. We ask and pray, God, that you should give us wisdom and understanding, discernment, guidance, and direction here tonight as we conduct the business of Yancey County. Ask and pray you watch over and care for each and every need that's here. There's many. We understand that and know that. Thank you that you're mindful of us. God, help us to honor you in all we do. In Jesus' name. Amen. Please stand.
United States of America, to the republic which is stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to look over the agenda. If so, there's no motions. Just by your approval. Yeah. To approve the agenda as written, do I hear a second? Have 2 seconds, Madam Clerk. Take it. All those in favor say aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Our consent agenda is very short. This is probably the shortest I've ever seen. We have 3 items here on the consent agenda. It's approval of the September 8th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, the approval of the tax release adjustments for 2025, August, September 2025 tax collection reports, which is for informational purposes only. That is here every month. Do I hear any discussion about the consent agenda? Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? A second. All those in favor say aye. Thank you for that. We got 2 department updates this month. Mr. David Atkins, he's our maintenance director. So David, you're up. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. It might have been 2 years, but if it's too short. I'll start off with the courthouse. About your life, we've had a couple of repairs. Police report it does not leak anymore. We've updated windows. We've also updated our gutters, changed out gutters. We're in the process for some of updating their water pump system. The next building is Yancey. Probably one of my favorite projects this year. We replaced the roof on Yancey. Also, if you extend your doors, a lot of work been done over to do, but all the floor had to be replaced, drywall, paint. Next on the list is the Little Range Learning Center. We've done a new roof on it, new exterior doors, new gutters. And the process of updating the fire alarm system there also. EMS, we updated the two main HVAC systems. Replaced backup generator. Jail, we replaced HVAC system for big block. RH short bus, we replaced 2 HVAC units. We converted from electric to natural gas in that building. The library has had the handicap automatic door. We that did last year. We've been in the process of servicing the boilers. Keep them ready for season, put out some parts to order for those. In the future, we hope to update the HVAC system here at the courthouse. As a generator for the senior center, also for the landfill, house. In the future, we hope to update the pumping system for the jail. With the unit. I feel like you've been pretty busy. Besides the regular stuff, besides all the late stuff that you've been doing, so we appreciate everything you did today. Sure. Any questions or any discussion about any of the projects that David's been doing? Anything that you want to say? Sandy, I'm thinking we're gonna play root here today. If we can get out of here, right, Freddie Bellman, get her. Is on that. I projected just about 2 weeks ago, fired it. We do have our generators on a senior cycle. Every seniors of age, we'll start rotating them out. Hopefully, start preventing a lot of issues. One of the EMS went down in a very, very bad time.
I would say David's done a good job.
Yeah.
Budget planning on what's coming up in the year. Of course, nobody can see foreseen how many, but he's done a good job at not just our maintenance plan before he broke, we fixed it. But now we're to the point that we're on a repair schedule and make change things out, how we prolong things. People need to, and that's where he's excelled the last 5 or 6 years. Is getting everything on a maintenance schedule, getting a lot of new buildings added on to him, with the sheriff's office coming. Dispatch center also, regular clerks almost done. We have transit building down there. Of course, the health department's hours that we've been, putting a lot of people in there. So it's took a lot more use and everything, but we're glad. But they just kind of had to stay on his toes on keeping things up to par. So he's done a job of trying to get us a good maintenance cycle, like roofs, HVACs, all that stuff.
Being proactive instead of reactive. Patch the self confidence. Yeah. We've come a long way. We've still got a ways to go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next is next department update is Ms. Whitney Lear for Public Library Director. Thank you for coming, Whitney.
Thank
How about that?
Also, I just want to wrap up David because I told another library about the pretty precarious situation with the bookshelf. He came immediately to help. Thank you, David. Also, I'm going to give you our newsletter.
Joanna?
All right. Good evening. I am humbled and honored to speak about the Yancey County Public Library this evening with you all. This marks roughly 3.5 months since the transition to a county-run library, and I'm excited to share updates about our programming, our current system, and our future goals. To begin, I want to share a little bit about programs that we offer for each age range. When we entered the library, we wanted to create programs for all ages and backgrounds. We continue to create new programs monthly, and our attendance grows. We are always open to partnerships and ways to create programs catered to the community's needs. In thinking about our children ages 0 to 5, Storytime and Play and Learn are hosted in our children's section once a week. The little ones are building early literacy skills while also having fun with songs, stories, and social play. The library has a bustle about it that's contagious during these times, and programs like these ensure the library's necessity for years to come. In addition, the New Beginnings program supports brand new families as they take their first steps, literally and figuratively. And other mom meetup and parent meetup groups offer connections for caregivers. As a staff, we also make monthly visits to Little Hands Daycare, bringing along a favorite character to delight and engage young readers right where they are. We have had Clifford, Spot the Dog, and Sparky the Firehouse Dalmatian so far. And thinking about our school-age children, we want to remind them and their families that we are a resource. The library team has visited all 3 Yancey elementary schools, sharing the joy of reading and community connection. The library also provides programs and resources for our homeschooling families. Kids have gotten creative in book bedazzling classes, gathered for Pioneer Story Hour, enjoyed movie events, and set off on family story walks that blend literacy with movement. We've also cleaned out the stairwell leading up to the Everett Art Gallery and host school age art there monthly with students from Burnsville Elementary right now, currently being. The library is also a welcoming space for tweens and teens, offering chances to explore creativity and socialize. They've also done their own book bedazzling, participated in the Battle of the Books, they're still doing that, crafted, read, and connected in science-led activities involving both ease and space, and found time to relax through yoga as well as Legos and jewel art upstairs. We have done outreach with the Extend 1 classes at King River Elementary Middle School, for their club days to support all that they are doing there. At the library, adults and seniors have opportunities as well, the chances to connect, explore, and stay active. We had a new book club, and in the last month, we also had a mobile planetarium experience, and that was from the state library. They sent us the planetarium for free, and a fun fall outreach event with Blue Bear ice cream. Everyone was invited to find a 3D printed pumpkin, exchange for an ice cream ticket, as well as participate in an autumn's poetry walk. We also offer IT support weekly, as well as gentle fit classes for adults, and that's also weekly. We also provide memory kits for caregivers that are working with an individual struggling with dementia. That is not all of our programs, but it gives you an idea of some that we have done since July. In addition to programming, we have also some other numbers and information. We have made over 300 new library cards since July and renewed and reactivated countless other accounts. We have an excellent staff and volunteers who bring warmth, creativity, and care to every part of the library experience. Their outreach and energies help with service daily. We have 3 full-time staff, 1 part-time staff, and several amazing volunteers. We also greatly appreciate the staff and systems of both the Toe River Valley and Madison branches for being such good library neighbors to us and helping us when we needed it. We also cannot leave out our amazing patrons who are respectful to us, and we've had the privilege of engaging in many great conversations about books in the library. We hope to continue engaging with the community and facilitating library involvement where possible. With help from North Carolina Cardinals resource sharing, the library continues to give patrons access to books from libraries all across the state. If you want a book that is currently housed at a library down at the beach, we can get it. If you're currently visiting the beach and want to turn your book in there, you can do it and it'll make its way back to us. It's like turning your library card into a statewide passport to reading, and we encourage all patrons and educators to make use of it. Lastly, the library has obtained 2 grants since the beginning of July, one for Yancey Cardinal resource sharing and another for exterior rehabilitation of the library, which will be vital to keeping the library beautiful inside and out. And looking to the future, we still have big goals for growth at the library. We hope to update the collections age and refresh selections throughout the library, as well as make it more accessible to all users. And coming into the library, we realized much needs to be done in order to organize, assess, and ultimately revitalize the collection. 15% of the collection was either labeled missing, lost, or in repair. Our staff have worked diligently through donations and purchasing to add to the collection, as well as to repair books and inventory missing items in order to chip away at this deficit. In addition, with your help, Going Find Free has brought many individuals and their books back to the library. Those people were fearful about the fines that their materials had accrued. We hope by 2026 to have this 15% greatly lowered and for the overall age of the books on the shelves to be lowered, reflecting a more dynamic and well-curated collection. In closing, I really believe that Yancey County is bigger than any one person, with its beautiful architecture and enduring history. It is my highest honor to get to be a steward of it, and I hope myself and my staff can continue to honor its history and help all of the patrons that come through its stories. Thank you.
Whitney, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And the only question I have is talking about those 3D printed pumpkins and turning prints. Does this count for a token for a free ice cream? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Whitney. I appreciate it. All right. We appreciate it. All right. Next on the agenda, we have from Beta Health, Mr. Dustin Burston, coming over from Spruce Pine. Give us an update. Wait. Thanks for coming, sir. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you all. Dustin Burleson with Beta Health, the Community Relations Regional Director that covers both Region 2 and 3, which does include Yancey County as a part of that. I think some slides were sent out in your packet that I sent to Morgan earlier in the week, so just to kind of give you some reference. But as a reminder who Beta Health is, probably historically, when you think of VIA, the LMEMTO, we used to really manage the behavioral health, substance use, and intellectual and developmental disability for 32 counties. The law has changed in the state. Medicaid in particular, a little over a year ago, we finally launched into what's called the Tailored Plan. And so anybody with the Yancey County Medicaid, this Tailored Plan would be under VIA Health. So the one way to know that you have VIA Health or Tailored Plan is on your Medicaid card. It actually would say that. And so that isn't all that we manage. We do manage Tailored Plan, but we also manage Medicaid Direct. So it's another piece of Medicaid that, so if you're not in a standard plan, you're not in a Tailored Plan, you might be in Medicaid Direct. And that's somebody that would still have behavioral health, substance use, or intellectual developmental disabilities. We also manage the state funds. So we get single stream funding that comes from the state and for each county, and then we're expected to serve really anybody that walks in the door in the behavioral arena. So just wanted to kind of start there. And then the other thing just to talk about just some things that's happening at the state level. So you guys may be familiar with the Department of Health and Services preparing for the Rural Health Transformation Program. So as a part of HR 1, or otherwise known as the Big Beautiful Bill, in federal legislation, it enacted the Medicaid cuts projected to reduce North Carolina funding by right at $50 billion over 10 years. And so in turn, this, what's called the RHTP, Rural Health Transformation Program, is $50 billion over 5 years going back into the states. And so the way that looks is the first $25 billion is going to be split evenly among states. North Carolina, I think, is around $100 million for the year. And the second is going to be a process where you request an allocation. So it's going to be split based on that. I think I've got some slides here. We'll talk more about that. I'll give you some more detail of that. Something that you got to know, 3.6 million people live in rural North Carolina. So that's the second highest in the country behind Texas. And 71 of the 100 North Carolina counties is considered rural. So this is something that I think is going to, impact and go a long way. So there are strategic goals that they have identified. There's 5 of those. One is make rural America healthy again. So it's supporting rural health innovations and new access points, and really promoting preventative health, addressing the root cause of diseases. The other is sustainable access. So making sure that rural providers can become long-term access points for care by improving efficiency and sustainability. Workforce development. We know that in rural counties, a lot of people, when they go to the universities, they don't always come back. And so we often lose a lot of our rural providers in healthcare to larger cities. And so this is one thing that they're going to do to strengthen recruitment and retention across these rural counties. Innovative care. So looking at new models, innovative care, improving health outcomes, and then the tech innovation. So really looking at data security, digital health tools, things like that. So North Carolina's application will outline plans to improve access to rural hospitals and providers, strengthen rural healthcare workforce, foster provider partnerships, and improvement outcomes for rural residents. So right now, the department is in the process, and I really feel like that date is where they're collecting community and provider feedback. What they're going to do is also take that feedback and then determine how they're going to apply for this funding. The target is December 31st for that CMS application approval, and that's the Center for Medicaid Services, with the early 2026 public notice and funding application process for providers and hospitals. So that's just a little bit about these. The other, you guys are probably well aware of, is the budget. So, the General Assembly has passed a couple mini budgets and still in the process of finalizing the budget. We hope that will, I think they go back into session next Monday. So we're hoping that maybe we can get the budget by then. But there are some shortfall projections, both the DHB, which is the Division of Health Benefit, and the General Assembly Fiscal Research, and both projected Medicaid shortfalls, but there is a disagreement on what that amount is. So we've heard some really large numbers. Both the governor and secretary has sent joint communication out to outline the proposed changes for the fiscal year and some provider rate reductions based on the mini budget projections. And so the department implemented those rate reductions, which impact providers on October 1st, with Medicaid services being cut by 3%, target services by either 8 to 10%. So VIA waiting until November 1st to implement these reductions. So we're acting on the previous raise. And so hoping that the final budget might mitigate some of these reductions. And so really just want to be cautious before we do that. VIA single stream funding, and this is for people without insurance. We're talking about the state funding that flows directly into the system. And then we flow it in our counties based on a comprehensive provider. So they walk in, they've got to see everybody that comes in the door. But we're looking at approximately $6 million reduction in that funding, which is going to impact services. And so each year, those state funds are cut. And so they're already low. A lot of people are always asking for more services because a lot of people don't have insurance. And so it is difficult. We really got to pick and choose what we fund in some of our counties. And we try to customize what our counties are really needing. The last update there, you guys know, in your report talking about Child and Family Specialty Plan, it is launching on December 1st. They are saying 100% go. So what that means is Blue Cross or Healthy Blue, Blue Cross Blue is actually going to be taking that foster care population that MCOs have historically done, and they're going to be running with that on December 1st. So it's going to be a big lift. We're hopeful that it'll be a smooth transition. Couple more just quick things, some regional and community projects from our network development. So hope for Yancey grant. Hopefully you guys are familiar with that a little bit. Basically, it's a free and anonymous for all residents and communities affected by the hurricane. It was significantly affected, as was Mitchell. And so it provides a lot of things like individual and group crisis recovery, outreach. There's a helpline that's listed. And so it's all in your information, just providing somebody to talk to if you're still kind of dealing with the effects of the hurricane. I actually have the team that we kind of go out in all of our counties. You may know Sheila Wilson. She's worked in a lot of the area before. She's our team lead in that. With that. So, and then there's a map that I just kind of shared the impacted counties in Western Carolina. Via 22 of the 25 impacted are in Via's catchment there. Two more quick things. The last two things that I'll share. One is something coming. It's the kind of a heads up, the mobile OPT. You guys may have heard of it in this county, in some of the meetings in the community. You may not. Basically what it is a opioid treatment program. It's in production, and it's something that will be like a bus. And we got some pictures we'll share in the future that will be, when we identify the spot, will be parked at a certain location for a certain amount of time. And what that does, it allows people who need that medication work. It opens at like 5 a.m. in some of these counties. So they'll be able to go by, do that. There'll be a schedule. And it's actually Crossroads of Buncombe. It's going to be the provider there that serves. I think it'll be Mitchell, Yancey, and Madison off. So that's something we're excited about. And then recently, October 9th, so I think last week, partnership with Duke University and Mayday and Via, we were able to, we're thinking about hurricane impacted counties, do the child adult relationship enhancement training. That happened, well, actually, Burnsville was the first one we did in all of our 32 counties. Happened last week. And so it's a probably important way for adults to be able to interact in a positive way with teens and children. So it's really just that training, and we know that, you know, there's a significant need in all of our counties, but in particular with those impacted counties. So that's what I've got today. Hopefully that was easily understood. If not, feel free to ask questions. Right. Absolutely.
Any questions for Dustin? That was a lot.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's good.
All right.
You guys are always good.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, Mr. Blair Shepherd. About the benefits and the possibilities of biochar. We're looking forward to that. Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me very much. So, Partner Sam, that's you.
Thank you, sir.
So just before we start the presentation, I just want to express, I had 3 worries coming here. The first is that I taught a Duke for 30 years. I was worried there might be some Carolina fans in the audience. Just to make me feel okay. My
Chris, I'll help you out.
Hi, Chris. My wife is out of Carolina, and my son did his PhD at Carolina. So we're a divided house. That makes it feel fair. Second one is that since I taught it for 32 years and was a dean of Cuba, you would say he's an academic, doesn't know what he's talking about. Just 2 things that I could. First, I built the world. I took a piece of executive education out of Cuba and turned it into the world's largest, most profitable executive business. And it was ranked number 9 and the number 1 in the world for 9 years in a row. So I kind of know what I'm doing. And then I was head of strategy for PwC for 12 years. We grew from 29 billion to 55 billion during that period. So the advice is probably okay. And so the reason I say that is that I'm going to propose something to you that I think is hugely beneficial to Yancey County. And I want you to know that I kind of know what I'm talking about when I make these suggestions. What I want is, I'm from Durham County and Sam's from Madison. So you could say we're 2 outsiders trying to take advantage of the county and leave, which you've probably experienced a little bit lately. If you know what we've been through for the last 7 months, you would know that we are not taking advantage of the county. We actually had our stump set on fire. We had an SBI investigator come and take a look at it for us. He said there's no questions, either an act of God or human enabled, and we don't think God dislikes you that much, right? And so, and because of that, we haven't received any wood for 3.5 months. So I've been funding the business for 3.5 months. It's now done, and we're in good shape. I want you to know we are not taking advantage of the county, and we have no intention of leaving unless you don't like these ideas, because we're going to do it. So let's start there. Go to the first page if you could. So the process that FEMA set up is a really good process for a hurricane on a coastline, because there's not many trees, right? There's a lot of flatland. So if you're going to process the tree debris, you can grind it in a lot of places to put it. The problem is the mountains. There's lots of trees and not much flatland, and so it turns out what you're left with is a ton of mulch that just burns. The other thing is the process was designed before a better technology came along. So essentially what you have is a 7-step process. If you actually take a carbonizer to the forest and you burn in the forest and you take it on a truck to the farm, you've got 3 steps instead of 7. I guarantee you that we can reduce the cost of debris management by well over 50%. There's 2 reasons for that. The first is there's half as many steps. The second one is the carbonizer reduces the wood 14 times, where a grinder reduces it 5 times. So the amount of trucking is almost 3 times less. Now we're going to prove this because we have a grant. We won a competitive award with the Forest Service to test these ideas south of Mount Mitchell on the helipad. And so we'll have data within 2 months to actually demonstrate this, but I'm absolutely sure that it can be at least half as expensive to manage debris as that methodology. Now, the reason that works is this, if you go to the next page, the huge machine you're looking at here, this only came available 3 years ago, and it hasn't really been known in the world very well. Turns out what this machine does is take 20 tons of wood an hour and burn it in a way that reduces it to biochar. Now, it turns out it's standard air curtain burn, which some of you have seen around this place a lot, right? It actually burns it to ash. What this machine does is actually capture it as biochar before it becomes ash. And the nice thing about biochar is that biochar is the thing you need if you want to repair a farm. Compost alone won't do it. What biochar does is it preserves water, it preserves nutrients, and it provides a home for the microbes that eat compost and eat mulch. And so the result is it will increase the improvement of the farm by 3 or 4 times faster than what happens with compost alone. Turns out biochar actually increases yield by about 25 to 30% on average, and you've seen yield increases up to 295%. And so it turns out it's incredibly important for preparing farms, particularly if you have sand. And if you have silt, which is what you have with the been damaged there. It's also very good with clay. So the reason I'm going to highlight this one is that the carbonizer is 1/10 as expensive as any other methodology that's been used for creating biochar. Until this point, it never made sense to use biochar for farming because it was too expensive. But this actually is 1/10 the price. It came online 3 years ago. There are 2 in Western Carolina, one in Yancey in Canton, and one here, which is the one we own. There's the only ones in Western Carolina, and they're incredible machines. You want to come see it work, we have to take it down because we're going to move there in a couple of days. So long term, let's go to long term. The problem of the mountains of North Carolina, in some sense, is that the biggest asset, which is the forest, is stopping an asset. Now that happened because the Canton paper mill closed. Now there was one other business that was here that actually was using sort of pulp pellets, but the Canton paper mill is the important one. If you think about the orchard here, there were 2 million tons of pulp that went into the Canton paper mill every single year. This year, the quota for the state of North Carolina is 14,000 tons. That's and if you think about it, just think about all the jobs from loggers, from foresters to loggers to truckers to chippers to people working in the mill, the people actually processing the stuff, selling and moving it to other places in the country. And the result is huge, thousands of jobs lost in the Western Carolina because of the loss of canned paper mill. How big a breed collection is, this is going to get even worse because a whole bunch of people making money off of breed collection are going to have equipment that can't be used. Right. So just imagine owning a grinder in your mill. Right. And then finally, forest utilization is actually one of the things that the national policy wants to have happen. Return the forest as an asset for the United States. It's a huge piece of President Trump again. So here's the opportunity. You can take a network of small businesses, foresters, loggers, grinders, truckers, composters, bagging, processing people, biochar makers, sales, logistics, administration, and create a bunch of downstream businesses. I'll describe in a minute. And the consequence is you can more than replace the economic activity of the community. And Yancey could be the center of that, because it would be the place that had the primary activity of creating biochar and bagging and producing material. And I'll show you that if I go to the next page and sort of see what the idea looks like. So you have a carbonizer or carbonizers, there need to be many, in the forest or adjacent to the forest. All it needs is a couple of acres, burning the wood and turning out biochar. Adjacent to it is you need at least one grinder. That then goes to a mulching, composting, and bagging facility sitting here. That goes on the railway to the southeastern United States and the Midwest. It gets trucked locally. It turns out if you actually have a local need, you take it directly from forest to local need. You do that in 3 steps. To meet your local need really expensively, and you can serve a not national market, because it doesn't make any sense to go past the Rockies, but the price point we're talking about, you can build it from the Rockies east and serve that market. This will be the least expensive biochar production capacity in the United States. So if you take that and say, okay, well, we're kind of interested in biochar and compost being combined and selling them to somebody. Is there anything else possible here? Well, go 2 pages if you would, please. And look at the other industries that come from biochar. One more, please. So globally, regenerative agriculture is a $15.4 billion industry. Its compound growth is 18.75%. The single most important factor in regenerative agriculture is biochar. Now, look at the number. 15.4 billion growing 18.75% a year. Right? Second one, green construction. And forget the word green for a minute. Just think about construction materials. $400 billion globally with a compound growth of 17.8%. Now, the reason is, I want to pick this one up and sort of show it in particular. So why is biochar good, right? So the benefit of biochar in concrete is it binds the concrete better. It makes it last at least 20 or 30% longer. It sequesters carbon in concrete, and concrete's one of the biggest carbon producers we have. And it actually makes it a better insulating product for anyone who wants concrete as an insulator for their home or their business. If you take asphalt, it actually makes the asphalt more resistant to water seeping into the asphalt much. So asphalt lasts about 20 or 30% longer, and you don't get the same number of potholes. And I can tell more story related to insulation and roofing, understand it. But then the next one is environmental remediation. That's a small business because it's just started, but it could be huge. The really interesting thing about biochar, which is active carbon, when you think about what biochar is, it's the thing that's in your refrigerator that cleans the water before you make ice cubes. It's active carbon. That's all it is, right? What that does is if you were to put that on a highway, when you build a highway with the mulch, and then you were to put grass out, you wouldn't get the stuff from the highway sitting in the rivers because it would be captured in the biochar because it's a sponge for that stuff. Imagine the OMC place that I was talking about the other week that you want to repair. Right? Turns out the way to do that now is actually dig it up. You sort of spray it with a bunch of water, or you actually take it, you dump it somewhere else. Right? What you have to do here is till the biochar into the soil, and it seeps the oil up. Right? Actually, they use biochar now to actually tap oil wells and stop the methane from leaking. So it's a phenomenal thing for remediation activities. Right? And finally, it's even used in consumer products. The best thing to actually manage it has a deodorant is biochar baked into your deodorant because it actually captures all the stuff that comes off your skin that makes the smells. And some thing I want to highlight is if you take this lid and add it up, we're talking about over $500 billion industry that's growing more than 15% per annum. You can sort of say, well, why does that matter to Yancey County? If we become the place that is the least expensive producer of biochar, the consequence is we are the place that people are going to want to be because biochar is the most important ingredient in all that I just described. Now, will all these industries come? That's kind of up to you, and it's kind of up to us to help you make it happen. But they can come. So here's what I want to, here's the ask. We'd like your support. If we'd like your support in a set of ways, we want help getting grants. We want you to help us with the state legislature because I think this is a huge benefit for North Carolina. We'd like your help in getting NRCS to purchase the biochar compost combinations to help the farmers repair their soil. And there's some other pieces I've said in here. And you could sort of say, well, that's a big ask, Blair, and we don't need all of those. But let me give you Haywood County as an example and help you feel a little committed, right? So the Carolina people who don't like being a Duke County, this way about Haywood County. So they have $1 million grant from DEQ. I told you there were 2 machines in Western Carolina. That machine isn't even owned, and I'm not sure you can afford it. We bought our because we believe in it, right? But they got $1 million grant because there's a guy there, Billy Garber, who believes in this, who's their soil and water person, who really pushed it really hard, happens to be on the board of DEQ. Right? But they got $1 million grant. We don't. They have NRCS providing free biochar and compost to the farmers who have had farms that have been harmed in the 5 counties adjacent to them, not the 5 counties that would be adjacent to us. And they're actually the counties that are most damaged. The thing that bothers me about that is say who was most damaged by the hurricane? It's the 5 counties that aren't getting the asset. And the final point is Senator Mayfield is hugely supportive. So you might expect that because he's from Buncombe County. It's a little bit liberal. But actually, there's nothing I said here that has anything to do with liberality. What I just said is this is a really good business proposition. So let me leave you with the following 2 thoughts. I have been involved in advising a lot of people all over the world about what businesses they should grow and not grow. That's how I spent my life. This is the most interesting proposition I have ever seen. Dan and I want to do this in Buncombe County. And we want to do it in a way where all we do is biochar. And there's a bunch of other small to mid-sized businesses that fill in everything else. We don't want to do the rest. We're going to get rid of our grinder. We're going to get rid of everything except biochar. Because if we want to be serious, we've got to let other people succeed. We don't want to be a monster. We actually want to create a monster, which is a network of small and mid-sized businesses. There's a few people here that we've been talking about doing that with. I think could advise you that we're serious. So we don't want to get big. We want Yancey County in Western North Carolina and North Carolina to get big. All we want to do is something happen. Questions?
So,
Yes. We don't need money. We want support. Now, support, right? So Senator Hayes is head of appropriations committee. It would be nice if you talked to Senator Hayes. Turns out that NRCS functions here, just like it functions in those counties. It'd be nice if you help with NRCS, right? I mean, it'd be help us with DEQ. We're not asking you for anything but support. And then eventually, to work with us in building a plan for what this could look like for Yancey County. We'll do the biochar, that's what we're going to do, but we actually want to help build out a plan for the county. And if I could spend the rest of my retirement helping that happen, we're happy to do it. And compost together. Yes, yeah.
Compost is a whole.
It didn't do this before. Now it's exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to go to the helipad in just south of Mount Mitchell. So the thing we want to test, right, is yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. Well, no, you don't smell the biochar. You smell the mulch burning. You smell it. I mean, worst decision. So by the way, the biochar machine is the best decision I made in a long, long time. Worst decision Sam and I made in a long time was accepting anyone. We didn't want to take it, but we took it because there was no risk with it. Really bad idea. The old mulch for 5 months, it burns and you can't stop. And I'm sorry for that, but it's everywhere all over Western Carolina. And really dumb decision. But what's good about it for me is we learned what you shouldn't do. Turns out that taking it from forest as trees, grinding it once, transporting it again, grinding it again, transporting it again, it's just way too much money spent on debris, right? And you're left with this thing that's going to burn because there's 14 million cubic yards of mulch in Western Carolina. There is no market in the world that can manage that much. So it's just going to burn. And we're part of it, and I apologize for that, but we did it because we thought the county needed us to do it. But we did, and I'm sorry for the smell. Yeah. Yeah. Way faster.
How much back?
Yeah, so it turns out it would bring the farm back 3 times fast, the productivity. And depending upon the blend of the compost and the biochar in the soil, you can get improvements from 25 to 290%. You have a lot of compost sitting here, by the way. It's going to be from the mulch. Yeah, I mean, you already have more single grind mulching you take a stick at, and you're going to get more. Yeah. We won't need to make any more. Yeah, you have it already. Now, it turns out it's going to continue to do the process they do. They're going to continue to have single grind mulch. And we're talking to guys here. We want to have turn into compost really fast so it doesn't burn. So we can do it together. Right. And they're all from this region, right? All this area doing it. But if you think about it, there's a lot of mulch there. Yes.
So what's the point?
Well, in repairing soil, it's 1 to 4 or 1 to 6. So 1 unit biochar for 4 units or 6 units of compost. In maintaining, it's 1 to 10.
So for like, how many yards?
Yeah, roughly for an acre, you need about 10 cubic yards. For restoration, for maintenance, you need about 1. If you put a lot less down, you'd have to put a lot less compost down too. You need about 1, right? But for maintenance. And so it turned out to repair all the soil there, we need a lot of biochar, but we have to produce a lot of biochar. It turned out if we don't do it, we're kind of in trouble, right? So the other thing I want to sort of say is it's not just that we have a lot of farms that need restoration, because 62,000 acres of debris that's going to light the forest on fire if we don't manage it. And so if we can find a less expensive way to take that debris out of the forest, we should. And this is a less expensive way. And so there's a short-term issue, which is debris management. There's a long-term issue, which is an intermediate term issue, which is how to repair the farm. There's a long-term issue, which is how to be built. Yancey County is kind of the center of the biochar industry in the world.
So it's necessary. For business.
Yeah, agree.
Bruce.
Completely agree. And by the way, it also is good for repairing the rivers. Yeah, because it purifies water, right? But it adds structure to the bank. Well, the problem with putting, if you put rock down, you don't grow anything in the rock. Put mulch down, the mulch washes away. Put biochar down with the mulch, it doesn't wash away. And the grass takes root faster, or whatever you put down takes root faster. So it repairs rivers. And 10 units of compost for winning and biochar, far less of it.
And then one load for.
Well, it turns out biochar keeps nitrogen in soil for 2 years, right? So if you put nitrogen into soil, which I have to do is in the mountain, you got to do it at least 3 times, right? Because it degrades. Now, if we do compost biochar, you don't need the nitrogen, but it's the same thing. It makes whatever it is last about 4 times longer. The biochar lasts for 2,000 years. So you're sequestering carbon in the soil for 2,000 years. Now, the thing that I like about that is, instead of the trees all putting CO2 back in the atmosphere, 35% of that's going back in the soil. Yeah. Wait, if you want to be our first customer, go ahead and please. And I promise we won't have anything else for a while. I understand your enthusiasm about the short piece. I do want to agree it'd be worth thinking about how we grow the other industries here, because it turns out if we have the biochar captive in the mountains, the rest of the industries have to come to, right?
We're all for the.
Yeah, that's a planning issue. You have a valley. You got a valley. You got some space in the valley. Yeah. And we got to get people to sell. We do have to get people to sell. And if the industry found that it's worth enough money, they'll be able to buy it.
So one more. So cost to farmers is around $120 a ton.
Yeah. $120 per cubic yard. Per cubic yard. And that's paid by us, right? So they have a grant that this is kind of crazy. The Department of Agriculture has created a grant to repair farmer soils. And we haven't gotten access to it because no one's bothered to go and chase it, right? Now, part of the reason they didn't chase it, it wasn't biochar available, right? But there is now, right? There'll be a lot from what we do in the forest, for example, and it's producing it not as fast as we're going to, but it's producing it. So we have to chase it now because it's actually free money. Essentially what happens, the farmer has to get their soil tested, and we can help them test their soil, or they can help them test their soil, probably better. Then we show them the biochar. The test on this run of biochar we just did is going to come back from California in about a week. And so we'll be able to show what those two look like and the additional nutrients beyond that. At that point, we should just be going to the Department of Agriculture. Now they're on furlough right now, but that's what you should be doing.
Just telling us, by the way, soil testing, I free till next month. So if you got a home garden or you got a cow pasture or something, soil testing so get them up free. Finish telling us about the you're moving it to Alabama, South Dakota.
Yeah, so the thing we want to do is prove that this 3-step process works. The only way to prove it, and actually the Forest Service agrees with us, but FEMA doesn't because they're stuck in a mob, right? They're not a managed hurricane on the East Coast. And this isn't the East Coast, but the Forest Service understands this. So they actually put out a petition for people nationally to compete to actually run a test. And the test basically is move a carbonizer to the helipad. There's 6,800 tons of wood, right? And prove that you can process that wood and deliver it directly to a farm in 3 steps. That's what they want to prove, right? And we won the competitive bid. The reason is We have the closest carbonized, and we know what we're talking about, right? So we want the competitive bid. And if we can prove that, then that actually, it should become best practice for any mountain related debris all over the country, right? Actually, internationally, but all over the country.
So they can bring
It's already there. It's already there. So the helipad, what they did was they gathered a bunch of the debris off the creek and the river. And they put the helipad as a road that goes around like that. They completely filled that road with debris. So we have to pick it up from the wood, take it to the carbonizer, burn it in the carbonizer, and then deliver it. Now, it turns out it's hard to deliver it to farmers if they haven't got the NRCS stuff, which is why we need your support in getting NRCS to support the farmers. Right? Because what happens, they pay the farmer pays us. And compost will come from any sources that have, because more than enough compost sitting in this place in each state. So that's not a problem. We have you guys want to help us on that and sitting in the audience. Yeah.
So sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years from now.
Yeah, it turns out, the thing is, what you have to do is get the ability to build the infrastructure to support distributing a lot to the southeast and the Midwest, right? So the way I look at it is take the debris management to help us prove the case, build it out with giving it to farmers, then actually pay out some of the capital programs. That's the capital. It's going to be a bunch of you. It's going to be foresters and loggers. It's going to be a bunch of people who have to do it. Put that in place. So imagine you have this kind of network of mid-sized businesses, all of whom are doing their part of it, right? All of whom now have the capital in place. That gives us the time to create the market. Now, the other support that would be helpful is to talk to the governor and the legislature about why this is good, so that they go help us go to Lowe's, which happens to be a North Carolina company, and say, why don't you sell our bags versus the stuff from guys that aren't from North Carolina and aren't repairing them out? I'd love to have a lane recovery biochar compost sitting in Lowe's, right? That's going to take a while. But so there's a logical process that gets us there. And it turns out once you've got that, if you sell the compost and biochar together, and they sell right now for about $90 per cubic yard together, that allows you to run the entire process from logging to distribution without support. But you've got to build the infrastructure first. So it stops needing funding once we're at scale. Actually, before scale, but once we're at decent size.
So do you have a risk?
No, but I'm happy to drop one.
So next steps.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll go next step. So for me, the next step is, so I'd love to sort of two things really. Is take the immediate piece, which is, support for those, and then help us. So we'll go talk to them, but we could use some support or even introduction in some cases, right? Because I'm from Durham and he's from Madison, and so introduce it, and Senator Hayes doesn't represent either of us, right? Or people like that. Introductions, but give you a letter. So get that to happen. We'll then sort of give you an idea of here are the people we think we could work with in the county that could be the other parts of the project. Does that make sense, right? Build that out, right? And then at that point, it's actually also whenever we put a proposal in, or even have this drafting proposal, I think we work with Christoph, put a proposal in the EQ, just support in doing that. And then at that point, what I'd love, so that's about a year, I think, to get that. After that, I'd love to sit with someone in the county and plan out what would it look like to grow this into something bigger over time. And I'll just do that because I'm retired and I don't need to earn a living anymore, right? I just so I can help and build that out, and then that's going to take some serious weight at state level. Because we're going to do some business development work, bringing people here. But for what it's worth, the most interesting seed company in the world is now Durham. And a lot of the ag chemical companies are in Durham, right? In my next door, right? And so, but it's going to take some way to get that to happen. But if we build a plan together, just go do some BD together. Make sense? Right? Hope you're excited. All right, cool. Because I want to stay in Yancey County.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you. So. Next on our agenda is Danny McIntosh, our administrator. Talk to us about a couple of things. Come and Danny.
Mr. Chairman, I'm excited. That's exciting. The walk.
I hope had an opportunity to look over some of the, or actually all of the refund requests. Please, both of those have the deal, and this is great. There is one that I would like to make one comment on. And that one is the, bill. This situation predates the East Texas tourism. I traced it back into the early 80s. But yeah, our attention was called to it for survey. So for West, they talked about 31 years. So state statute, and it's in the refund. Y'all right. And this is like in refund situation when you say forward. So if you can make a motion to vote, approve all of them if you like, or then you need to.
You have the rental property divided out. So it was a little different. 5 years that Danny's went back on the total excess tax collect. Readers on it tell my age, $164.85. So $164.85 would be the 5 years. So, that's just over 5 years. That's two big. But it's over, it's over 5 years. 164.8. $2.
So, motion on the table that, we combine them all together and do it in time. So that's the motion. Do I hear a second? That is for an approval. All right. All those in favor say aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Danny.
One of those years, this time next month. May not be seeing you.
No.
So it's part of our transition. We'll turn this part of this operation over.
There you go.
So
Are
that
you
you.
ready?
Thank you. Are you sure?
All right. So thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. Next, item number 9 on our agenda is a board appointment. There's a High Country Rural Transportation Advisory Committee, the RTAC. I think that is Mr. Lett that sits on that.
And he is up next round. It is his name. He is up to be reappointed and can be reappointed. That's not a term. By December, so we just went ahead and put it on.
Well, I think that begs the question. Okay. We already have a motion and a second that Commissioner Ledford stays on that in that seat. All those in favor say aye. Hearing any vote. Yeah, motion carries. Your opportunity. All right. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our county manager's report.
And I've got a couple of things. Mine's rather quick, but we overlooked our partners there from Wayne, so I'll just ask her to come up and speak on behalf of Wayne. Morgan's gone to clerk school this week again. Last week there, and she'll be finalized. Didn't mean to overlook her, but,
If you will tell us who you are and your title and position, and we'll. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Freer. I'm our Assistant Director at WAMI Community Action. In front of you, you have our most recent annual report, but I wanted to take the time to isolate what we've done in Yancey County specifically. In the last year, we've been able to repair 6 homes through our regular programs, including weatherization and heating and air replacement to keep people warmer and safer in their homes. And then we've been able to complete 12 home repairs related to Helene specifically. We have been able to help 13 other households with Helene services such as rent, appliance replacement. If people lost work because of the hurricane, they can come to us and we can help them stay on their feet. We were able to help 6 Yancey County households with emergency assistance through our Normal Bridges program. 3 families are working towards better education and employment through our Total Family Development Program. And so that is a total of 40 households who have received direct impact from our services. That doesn't count people who come through our doors and receive referrals, or we've connected with other agencies and things like that. And all of that direct assistance represents a $72,000 investment in the local residents of Yancey County. We're really proud to serve this county for the last over 60 years, and we just want to say thank you for your ongoing support.
That's count. Question?
All right, and I have one resolution that came before me at the end of last week there. It is from our health department, trying to meet all these deadlines as far as grants. So it's a resolution for wastewater treatment systems funding. They are part of a regional grant with the High Country Cog that's doing it. But they have one that needs to be broken out by Green Mountain Community wastewater project. So they have one of their grants. So the health department is helping them through their, and I'd like for you to pass the resolution for the Q funding, wastewater treatment, decentralization wastewater systems funding. So if you guys will approve this resolution, they have to have it in by November the 3rd. The DQ gets to be on there early. So I would ask that you do this for a Green Mountain community, help them with their wastewater.
And at our High Country Council government meeting last month before, we had a presenter about that and talked about it. It's a very, very, very good thing, and it's highly needed. So do I hear any discussion or have a motion? Do I hear a second? All those in favor say aye. Hearing none opposed.
So thank you on that. I'll get that back to Misty. We'll get that signed by you and get it back. Next thing is, of course, in our office, we're just mainly managing payment. Philip will probably nod his head right there, Philip.
Yeah.
As debris. So if it's not been debris, it's not been right here lately. Those bills in and all that good stuff. So voted to it completely tomorrow. Free folks. So also we have Chris can vouch for this. Chris Stigman, a landslide management team now. Look at a few landslides. They're tightening down on all this debris, all this waterway, all the PPDR. Even the landslide some is getting approved, some's not. So FEMA's really bottling this, making it hard for us to get PPDR, private property debris. So we'll push pause. I talked to Philip's team today. Pushing pause on the PPR until FEMA can see what's going to be approved and what's not. So we got crews out there ready and going back to homes 2 or 3 times to get one more tree, one more this, one more that. It's costing quite a bit guys to be out there and on the ground to get one tree. So we're going to kind of push pause on it for a little bit. Not maybe a week or 2. I mean, nothing long term until FEMA, their feet underneath them and kind of still what's going on. So, still trying to get a lot of things approved.
Jackson McCann.
They were going to accept it into the program, but it's hard. It's up on the state forest service land. So they're talking to the forest service, see what they're willing to do on that property. I put them in touch with Jim Barnhart. That discussion. Trying to get that. The Tooties Creek, they did it there.
So, and then on the FEMA side, for campgrounds, working hard. Get some FEMA funds starting to come in a bit on different projects. Campground, but we're seeing that being obligated for 30 to 45 days. So, we've got some money on campground in River Park coming our way. We don't have it in our bank account yet. And then the burns is separate. So, a lot out there. It's a slow process, but we're still looking at that portal every day and trying to make sure it's along. So, a lot of environmental reviews and that kind of thing. The paperwork is crazy. Since we saw you last meeting, I went to Raleigh, spoke to our assembly. The commissioner from Avery County went. Our first went. 3 of us had around 5 minutes. I think we did a little longer than that. But then we had 2 questions, and what we were thinking might be a 15 session turned into about a 2.5 hour session. So they were real inquisitive. They were real talkative about it, asking us about things, taking it into account. So we laid it all out there on the table. I don't know anything that we forgot. Sure, there is stuff, but we talked forever. They enjoyed it. We did too. So that was very well worth the time.
Well, I saw the video, by the way. Seen it and watched a portion of it. I could watch the whole thing, but what, and, our county manager done, it's very, very proud. I'm proud of you, what you've done, how you stood. Intimidated, I think you intimidated them. But we appreciate what you've done. Thank you. You represented us very, very well.
Glad to do that. Glad to be a voice for experience. Anyway, so we've done, we're moving along on our projects. I look at Avery back there. We're finishing up Ray Court, so that coming into the short road there. Be too much longer on a little ways, but not a whole lot. We'll be going to rebid on the pavement on the landfill. That's not getting handed out. So if you know anybody interested in this on the pavement only on the landfill, correct. And the debris team is looking over the trees down at the landfill. So that is going to be a debris project. We just complete our case payment. Apply that as a closed landfill, but yet we still maintain it. So I think that's just the state general statutes, and we have to do it along. We spend about $100 grand a year maintaining that landfill, monitoring gas and debris and runoff, water and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's about 55 pages in that. That it's a $3.3 million ask, so that's one reason they're fighting it. But anyway, we just complete our case. We got to think it's free. Just but we got to get it up. Just quite a few trees down, and we got to make sure that any kind of waste is not exposed. So the engineers is up there on that, and they're the ones that gave us the estimate. So we're working through trying not to leave any rock unturned on that. Very proud of Dave Whitney and the library this last 3 months. Done a very good job at just taking it and running with it. Our staff's been very excited. So that's been one of the easiest things we've done in the library for the health department for today. Appreciate her and her team for taking it, running with it, and enjoying it the way they do. So, getting proud. So thanks, Whitney. I think it's the same thing earlier. So that's all I have, unless you have questions for me. Just a lot of FEMA work, still doing projects. If he was here, he could tell you that the Sheriff's Office of Inspection is moving on. Should be on schedule. So still putting in a lot of grants, the grant, trying to get resilient grants, some due diligence on different things. You guys know, so all that is going on pretty good. Studies to come out before. So we'll be in on that.
Randy?
Oh,
Howard?
talk about the second money? No, I didn't get them Friday.
Just a promise, David, just a promise. All right, next on our agenda is a county commissioners report. Anybody got anything that they would like to say? I don't want to need to, but anything they'd like to say? No. Well, if we don't hurry, cards gonna get cold, aren't they, Fred? Real quick, I hope everybody has taken the opportunity. I hope everybody's been able to go up here and look and see the Helene Monument here at the sidewalk up next to the square. I think it turned out exceptionally well, and was very. I think it's a good add to our community, and it serves its purpose, and I think it will for generations to come. It's definitely something that we will remember. And then also, the group Renew NC, Raylan Allen, her group from Renew NC is going to be coming out, if I'm not mistaken, this coming Monday, going to be canvassing a little over 2,000 residences in Yancey County to try to help out and fill in some of the gaps where some of the nonprofits couldn't fill, or some of the other organizations that couldn't fill. It's going to be a really, really good thing. So if you have anybody that has any Helene needs, anybody in your family, anybody you know, neighbors, friends, have any Helene needs, please let them connect them with Renew NC.
The old WKYK building,
Yes.
the long-term recovery group, utilized, we all space that building and starting Wednesday, the 2 caseworkers that'll work out that.
I think it's going to be a really, really good fit, filling some gaps where it's needed. Everybody know where the old radio station building is, right across from the street? Anyway, that's where Chris is talking about. All right. Anything else?
Prescription.
We get signage.
I think so. All right, anybody else? All right, next on the agenda is our county attorney's report, Mr. Steer. Do you have anything to say? Crickets from the attorney. All right. Next on the agenda is our public comments. We have 5 speakers tonight. As we always say, always do, please be respectful and mindful of everybody's opinion, whether you agree or not. Everybody has a 3-minute time slot. I'm timing you, and when your 3 minutes is up, I'll give you the indication of 3. Wrap it up. Prepare for the next speaker. So our first speaker tonight is Ray Allen. There he is. And he's speaking on the library donations and occupancy tax. Thanks for coming, Ray. Good, hope you are.
Doing well. My name is Ray Allen. I live in Green Mountain, North Carolina. I want to say thank you to the entire library staff. We're all very pleased with how smooth the transition went in this county. I also think it would be nice if there was a way for people to easily donate. No way to donate online, on the website, on the Facebook page. I realize the expense, the processing fee, taking credit cards online for donations, but you can check it out. People can deduct their donation. Or you could just eat it, because this is all found money. It's money that you're not receiving. I mean, my mailbox is a mile and a half round trip. But it just seems very antiquated. The only way you can donate is put a check. Second thing I want to talk about is the Tourism Development Authority. So last year, the beginning of last year, 2024, the occupancy raised 6%. A lot of your Airbnb owners that rent out their homes, they just eat that, pay it to the county because they can't include a charge to get 10.75% tax and take that money straight. So they charge a flat rate and then they that back. Yeah. All the revenue collected in this county. Our tourism this year is down 24%. You know, it's down nationally, but Mitchell County tourism up. I think people who stay here, stay in the Airbnb for 3 days, expecting to pay about $1,000, and they get hit with 10.75% total taxes on the bill. I think they people not want to come back, seek somewhere else to stay, and for it to be wasted. For them to hire a director who is a nationally known political editorialist and pundit, the New York Times, very well known, far left, make public statements against conservatives, against the commissioners in this county during COVID. Had a lot of nasty things to say about people at that time. I would love to see the occupancy tax abolished, the TDA board removed and her fire. At the very least, I think we should go back to 3% it was. Her job should be terminated. I don't see why business owners, that can't be a volunteer position. Furthermore, tourism is only 20 to 30% of our revenue and it's down 24% this year. We're collecting all this tax, we're penalizing tourists and all to pay people that enrage the residents of the county. So this is an apartment in Asheville, I think would be the face of our county and bring people here and not through the tiny fall festival for rock circles and glass. Anyway, I'm getting upset. Thank you guys. I know you do not hire the tourism director, the TDA board does that, but when you guys all say aye and you're giving out a contract or you're giving a job to somebody, I recommend a background check, a drug test, and social media growth.
Thank you, Ray.
You like the person before you start getting up money.
Thank you, Ray. All right, next is Ms. Sheila Moore. And she's also talking about the TDA director. Thanks for coming, Sheila.
I appreciate everybody's time. First, I want to say thank you to Whit. That awesome woman and her enthusiasm is very refreshing. So thank you very much, and to everybody that's there with you. Okay. Thank you all for listening. But I'm going to follow up some of what Ray said. But I am respectfully asking our commissioners and our county manager to review comments from our new tourism director. Because I feel that's a very important position. You can make it or break a town. 3 of us reviewed, her behavior / comments at the last tourism board meeting. While she sat in the chair laughing at us, laughing and shaking her head. Why would the county hire someone from the county to be the face of Yancey County? I mean, I'm all about it. People talk about me. I don't care. Whatever. But I'm not going to turn around and hire them to work for me. So I don't understand it. And here's just a few things that she said, which Ray mentioned. During COVID, her comment, our tourism director's comment was, Yancey is a shit show as expected. That's your tourism director currently. Yancey is a shit show as expected. What the heck? When FEMA was in town, her comment was, these cretins, meaning the townspeople, have caused others to not accept help with the lies of what would happen to their properties if they did accept help. She also calls President Trump the orange cretin, so we know where her alliance lies. Regarding the commissioners, he stated they are unable to write a clear statement and have no interest in trying. That's just wrong. And that is also a derogatory remark targeted at a sitting tourism board member. regarding the library, she was calling people evil and hateful that wanted to pull away from the union system. And there are many more comments like this, but we don't have time. So I don't really think she loves this town. I don't think she's the right person for this town. Who was she catered to as our tourism director? I'm not sure. So I just ask you all, because I know she's already hired, but please just think about it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And next speaker, good evening, guys. Evening. Let's put it with the big one. Thanks for coming, sir.
I'm here specifically and foremost to express gratitude and respect for the wonderful work that Whitney Lear has been doing, taking care of the library, directing, and otherwise caretaking. It's been a critical time in previous months, and things are working especially well. But I want to highlight her virtues as a librarian because my life has been in libraries, working as a librarian, as a university or a high school teacher, so forth. I've written and published. But I've noticed in the months that she and I have occasionally interacted when I was in the library here in town, we might talk about what I was reading or was interested in. He was paying more attention than as usual. And months later would sometimes put in my hands or mention to me titles and authors that I might be interested in. And when I actually took them home to look at them, I was indeed quite taken. They were intellectually rich and yet quite readably intelligible. And they covered ground that you wouldn't ordinarily think of in the same breath. Now, I'll take just another moment to give you an example of one of these books called How the Hippie State. Not making it up. It's a remarkable book of cultural interpretation, not to mention philosophy of science. And it has to do with the way quantum connectivity and related theories gradually dovetailed in conversations that were emerging over the years, having to do with the influx of Eastern notions of non-dualism, of Buddhism and Taoism and Hinduism and Native American tradition, and with different notions of the connectivity and their interrelatedness of the different modes of being. Again, I want to thank you very much. You've been a wonderful librarian, a good comrade. I'm grateful to all of you for this opportunity to celebrate the good in our town.
Thank you, guys. Our next speaker is Yes. Fast, so then 16. You see him jump up?
He done opened up. But I don't want to stand in the way of the rule. I'm over 1775. Congress had Continental Navy, so I'm gonna say happy birthday. But congratulations. His sister he won an award. Yeah, she didn't tell me that.
Wow.
She looked like
We've heard some good things here from Williams and the Star man. My goodness, what a deal that was. By health, Wendy and all of that. So one thing I want to talk about is thank David Adams for not through the what What David and Apple does on a day-to-day basis is a version of Yancey County whack-a-mole. I know it out of my office that he shouldn't be, you know that. Hey, we're the tax office, but we're sending maintenance requests all the time. They're thinking of our conditions to the house, to the light bulb. Forward, I mean, just said, move the desk, move the file cabinet, you know, it's just a lot of stuff. And I don't know how to keep up with it, but just good job. Appreciate it. So I quit. I know what's waiting on y'all. Get on with it.
Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate it. All right, folks, thank you so much. That's good. Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?